Welcome to my podcast, which is all about changing your business and money reality. This is your master money coach, Dr. Gaurav Deka, and you are money. Hey, my friends, how have you been? So today's episode is actually a continuation of what I spoke last time in my podcast, which is what stops you from being a coach. Remember? So I spoke a lot about the fact that you're already a coach and you don't have to know whether you're a coach or not. I mean, I gave the whole example of me being in med school and those students coming to me to ask me about advices and counseling on whether they should become doctors or not. I gave you that example. And I also told you about how I gave them their solution. I was ready with a process. I was ready with the solution that they wanted. Remember? So today I'm going to give you part 2 of this podcast. So if you are listening to this podcast for the first time on Substack, so you need to go back to my previous podcast episode, which is called What Stops You from Being a Coach. Listen to that episode and then come to this one. This is part 2. And in part 2, I am going to talk about something that most of you dread, especially the new coaches or the people who have just begun their journey as a coach or journey as a healer or someone who is practicing as an alternative therapist or a counselor. So a lot of people dread the whole idea of marketing. And people don't know how to market. So half the people dread because they feel that when I show up, I don't know how other people are going to react. And I don't know how fearful I will be. Or the fact that I'm going to fret and become nervous and become jittery. You know, you have all these assumptions about yourself. And then, of course, you don't talk about who you are and what you do and how you can help people. In fact, the only marketing that you need to do is that, you just need to tell people who you are and what you do and how you help people. And then there is the other half who don't know how to actually market. I see a lot of posts on Instagram, sometimes on Facebook, even on YouTube, all kinds of social media platforms. I see people making a random post about something. Like, for example, let's say someone is an inner child healer or an inner child coach, and they might just write that inner child healing is blah, blah, blah. It will help you to have a better relationship by healing the traumas from your childhood, and then blah, 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 right? So that's how they write. But it's just that you are giving information to people. Some of that information is already known by people. And people are going to read your post as information. It's like watching the news. So there is nothing special about it. I'm not saying that people may not reach to you by reading that. People might reach to you. There might be people who just read it and think that, okay, this is new information for me, because for many people, it may not be new. It might just be new information. They might not be following a lot of healers or coaches, or, they might just not be in social media and suddenly they discover your post on YouTube or something, right? Even when you're speaking about it on YouTube, it might just be information for them. And you may just feel that doing that is enough. But doing that is not actually enough. In fact, you don't even have to do that. There are few things that you need to do before you jump into the bandwagon of being on social media, talking about what you do or your offers or whatever modality you may use. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a few ways. These may not be tips, but these might just be, realizations. These might be insights from my own practice. So I have to tell you that till the time I made my first at least 150K USD, which will be around more than 1 crore, basically. In fact, I made my first 2 crore at least. If you just know the Indian monetary metrics, we measure in terms of thousands, lakhs, and crores. So if I talk in terms of crores, then at least till 2 crores, I achieved that 2 crores just by seeing one-on-one clients. I mean, I was doing workshops and I was doing healing programs and all of that, but they did not bring me great amount of revenue. It's not that you can't make great revenue doing group work. What I'm saying in my case, they did make revenue for me. They did make money for me, but it was not a lot that I can count into the amount of money that I was making from one-on-one work. You can have your own way. You can have your own process. Or you might be someone who might just like working as someone who in group. But again, this episode is also for those people who are starting their journey as new coaches, because the first episode was what stops you from being coach. So I'm also thinking a lot of new people who are starting off as coaches, or who want to start off as coaches, who want to start off as healers and helping people, would want to start at a place from where they can have a clear vision and they can have a clear goal. And we do not have a lot of guiding voices or mentors who can give us clarity on how to put ourselves forward and start actually signing up clients. Because what is the end goal? The end goal is to sign up clients, right? Of course, you are creating a lot of value in the world, contributing to their lives, helping people, bringing them into harmony and spirituality. But more than anything else, you are also taking it as a profession, which is why you would want to make money, right? So the first thing that I saw from my practice is the way I work, my work ethics, and the fact that I was absolutely consistent about what I was delivering to people. The first thing about having new clients or getting new clients is whatever client that you have right now, you give them 100% value. I've seen this a lot of times amongst my students and colleagues, that they do have 1 client or 2 client or 3 client or sometimes 20 clients. But then there is also always a desperation to find the next client or the next group. The thing is that the more we are willing to serve 100% our current clients, the more we are actually creating new clients in the process. Because our current clients are our greatest asset. The results that they get and the transformation they experience is an asset, is the price of the whole process. Because I was not on social media, I was on Facebook, but I wasn't posting a lot of stuff. Instagram was, I would say, really unpopular at that time for me, because I had less than some 500 people. I think less than 200, actually. So what I want to say is all my work was via word of mouth. It was word of mouth when I was charging 700 rupees per session. It was word of mouth when I was doing sessions for 22,500. Again, word of mouth when I was at 5,000 rupees per session, at 7,500, even at 10,000 per session. Even at 15,500 per session, I was getting clients through word of mouth. When I started charging 56,500 rupees per session, all of these people that I got would just WhatsApp me and say that so-and-so person suggested your name. They got amazing results just by doing 1, 2, or whatever number of sessions. And I really want to work with you. And I would say, yes, I'm available for so-and-so date. And the price per session is 56,500 rupees. And they would immediately agree. Of course, I got clients from all over the world, overseas mostly. But that happened much, much later. That happened like, I would say 5 years after I started practicing. But then what happened is I kept giving the value. I just kept creating a lot of value for my clients. Like sometimes I would not measure my sessions by hours. I would put extra effort. I would never think that if I work with this person fully, and if I fully heal this person, they are not going to come back to me for a second session or third session. I never thought like that. I told myself that before a session, I would really prepare myself. Let's say if a session is at 5 p.m., at 4 p.m., I would, start sitting down, taking some time, having a nice cup of tea, sometimes meditating, sometimes journaling a bit, and just getting ready to be in that spirit, to be in that mode. So that at 5, when the client comes, I'm able to go through 2 hours or 2.5 hours. My sessions were that long. Your sessions could be shorter, right? But for me, it was that, like I could sustain and I could be present with my client. And I would prepare myself because that would be my only form of creating value. I would not worry about how much I'm posting or how many times I'm appearing on social media. I mean, that was the initial phase of my work. Now I don't have to work a lot because I, of course, work in groups in a container. So I do have a lot of time for myself to create content. For example, I am creating this episode for all of you, right? And I want to do this because, of course, I want to give you value. So the first point that I wanted to mention was giving your present client 100% value. Now, you may say that I just have one client, or you may say that I don't even have a client, right? When you don't have any client, then there are just 3 things that you need to do, which is create a client. How do you create a client? By doing these 3 things. That is, you go out to people, tell them what you do, tell them how you can help them, and the kind of results that you can produce. This is something I even spoke about in the previous episode, that you just have to go and tell people that you can help them, and that is enough. And it's not that you're doing it for the first time. You have always been helping people in some form or the other. This time you were just going there and telling that I help you and I can help you, and this is the way we can find out the solution, and I charge so and so, right? Even if you charge 500, even if you charge 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, whatever amount you charge, right? So be consistently giving value to your present client, even if that means it's one client. It's underrated and underestimated, and a lot of people don't think about it. But remember that this is exactly what created my first 2 crores. Then second thing is when you go beyond that a little bit, and then you gather the courage and muster the courage to show up in real life or in social media. It's not very different, you see. Your nervous system, which is your body, is going to experience the same amount of nervousness, anxiety, and jitteriness, whether it shows up in front of real people or whether it shows up on social media, on a live, writing a post, posting something, or putting up a story or making a video. Because it is all the time thinking about what other people are going to think and how other people are going to judge you. And I have a very famous line that recently I got printed on a t-shirt that my partner got me, actually. I know that you all have read about it probably in the last email. And I say that other people's thoughts come from other people's brains. Stay with that line for a moment. Isn't it true? Other people's thoughts come from other people's brains. It's a very simple line, but it's true. Every single person seeing you or thinking about you, whether they are positive thoughts, whether they're negative thoughts, whether someone is thinking, oh my God, they are saying such amazing stuff. I would really want to listen to more of them, and I would want to work with them in the future. Or someone is thinking that what kind of, BS is this? I don't understand. This is so cliche. This is so superficial. Whatever the thought is, the point is it's not your brain that is thinking it. It's other people who are thinking it. So whether it's positive or whether it's negative, your job is to show up, is to go out there and be visible to the world, whether you show up in physical form, in a wedding, in a group party, in an office party, with your friends, with colleagues, whether you go there and tell people that, hey, I'm a coach, I'm a healer, I'm a counselor, and I can help so and so. Do you know anyone who can seek this help, or do you know anyone who would want my services? Of course you would feel jittery when people will ask you, but tell me more about yourself. Someone is going to come and ask you, oh, is that so? Are you a counselor? So tell me, how do you work? What is the work about? How does this actually happen? Is it through medication? Is it through words? Or, is it real? Is it virtual? When people are going to come and ask you, you are going to feel the same kind of jitteriness. But then the point is, you have to then go beyond their intonation, the way they're asking, the kind of questions they're putting forward, and your own thinking of what they are thinking. Because most times we want to think negatively about people when they ask us something. We feel that they are trying to demean us, insult us, reject us, abandon us, and all sorts of judgments. But if I just look at those thoughts of mine as my own assumptions about what other people might be thinking, then I realize that these are just errors in my thinking process. And when I'm able to see other people's thoughts as just their thoughts coming from their brains, we just show up as we need to show up. We are 100% in our own brain, and we are not wasting a lot of energy in thinking what other people are thinking. Isn't it? So this is something that you need to master when you make an offer. The same goes when you are on social media, that you might be on Instagram, you might be on Facebook, and you might be talking about who you are, what you do, and how you can help people. Remember this 3 point: who you are, what you do, and how you can help people through different ways, through posts, through stories, through videos, through content, perhaps through email. And suddenly you saw that you are doing a live and the numbers are, let's say, there are 10 people watching you and 9 people just leave. Or you have put up a post and no one likes that post. You don't see a single like. And then even on Facebook, no one likes it, no one comments on it. From your email, if you have an email list, then people might, if you see people unsubscribing, you might just go into a state of shock. What I'm going to tell you is that people's reactions mean nothing. People's reactions mean nothing about you. They are leaving because of whatever reasons their mind and their body and their brain is giving, right? Think about it. Someone might be a mother nursing their child, and suddenly the child starts crying and they leave the live, or they just scroll past your post. Someone is simply in anxiety and going through a difficult experience or a bad breakup, and they are just in this frenzy of rolling over your post, right? Someone might just be moving through social media because they are just trying to deal with their anxiety, right? Someone might be driving a car. Someone might be at home and they're bored, and then they are cooking, and then suddenly they see the phone and they see your live and they go on, and then the pressure cooker goes on I mean, the whistle goes on and they run to put off the gas stove, and suddenly they go away from your life or they don't show up. What I'm trying to say is there can be a zillion number of reasons why your audience might not be liking your post, commenting on your post, or disappearing from your life or unsubscribing from your email. That is something that I am least bothered about, because I know that other people's thoughts come from other people's brains, and also because there is something that is getting triggered in them, which at this moment they are not ready to face or to work with. And because I know that I write a lot of strong content, my voice is very strong, I write extremely powerful emails, and well, it does have the ability, it has the capacity to sometimes trigger someone, and they might just, because of the trigger, leave my email subscription. But that's not because they hate me or they reject me. That's because there is an emotion that's coming up within them that in that moment they are not able to deal with, and they are not ready to deal with in that moment. And people do have autonomy of that. We have to accept the fact that people have autonomy of their own thoughts. They are going to react the way they're going to react, right? But what you have to do is you have to tell people anywhere, I mean, in real or in social media, who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. And you may take the help of stories. You may take the help of metaphors, right? And some of those stories and some of the metaphors might not feel very good to some people, because they might just get triggered about their relationship, about their toxic job, about their businesses and the money that they are not making, about their spouse who keeps on screaming and shouting at them, about their baby that they are not able to manage, right? So a lot of stuff can come up as a result of you posting things. I want you to know that it's not because they dislike you or they hate you. I want you to know that it's not because you are a horrible person, that you can't write stuff that you want to write. Instead, write the most radical thing that your brain gives you. Explain it through a story. Explain it through a personal experience. If you went through a bad breakup that made you a relationship coach, write about it. If you went through, deep, abject poverty that made you a business coach, write about it. Write about the poverty that you went through. If you are someone who came out of a horrible relationship and a divorce and became someone who helps women gain back their power, write about it, talk about it, and talk unabashedly, right? If you are someone who had to deal with their sexuality and became a coach who helps queer men or women or trans men, trans women get their voice back, power back, position back, write about it. Write about your whole experience. I have written countless number of times about my sexual abuse experience to tell people how the body responds to touch and how our nervous system needs a lot of time to recover from such trauma. I mean, I could have gone into shame and not written about it, but then I did, because I knew that when I would write about it, it would end up inspiring so many people, and I would be able to help a lot of people who would be going through something like that. And when they would come to me, I would be able to work with them because I went through that experience. It's my life's experience, which is what exactly makes you a life coach. It is your experience in life is what makes you a life coach, not the degrees, not the certification, not the methods that you know. So there are strong experiences in your life. There are strong experiences in your body. Talk about them and tell people why those experiences are important in shaping who you are, what you do, and how you can help people, right? And you have to remember that not everyone is going to buy from you. Not everyone is going to resonate with you. Not everyone is going to align with you. So you have to be really, really ready for people who leave, people who troll you, or make a bad comment or write a bad judgment, someone who doesn't agree. Like, I know that I swear a lot. I use the word fuck a lot of times. And then there are people who come and tell me that, why do you have to be so aggressive? But that's their definition of being aggressive. That's their definition of someone who uses the word fuck could be a bad person, could be an aggressive person, could be an evil person. That's not my definition, right? But then there are people who tell me that, You'd never hold back your voice. You always speak what comes to your mind. Even if you have to take pauses in the way you speak, you are going to take those pauses, and you are not afraid of silence. And I own up to that. So people are going to interpret differently the content that you put out in the form of marketing. When you put out the content in the form of marketing, always speak about who you are, what you do, how you can help them, and use experiences and stories. And not everyone is going to resonate with that, right? So that is point number 2 combined with point number 3, which is not everyone is going to buy. So there are people who are going to resonate with you, align with you, and are going to buy from you. Some of you may not be on social media at all. How do you then do marketing? Well, you do marketing like everyone else did when there was no social media, right? It's not that people did not make money. There were always, even if we don't talk about coaching, there were other professions, right? There were consultants, there were astrologers, there were probably tarot readers that we went to, there were healers, even when there was no social media, right? And most of them happened through word of mouth, as I gave you in the first example, right? So here, how you market is you have to be willing to meet people. You have to be willing to tell people what you do. You also have to be willing to tell people how you can solve their problem, right? People are looking for 3 things. People are looking for someone to listen to their problem. People are looking someone to tell them how to get out of the problem, basically show them the way or show them the process. And people are looking to believe that there is a solution to that problem. There is a possibility of a different life, right? And when you meet people, you have to show them that. When I used to meet people, even in physical, I would go to parties, or I would meet friends in groups. I would always listen to their problem, and I would reiterate their problem in a simple way. For example, if someone would tell me, I'm not having a very good relationship with my wife, and I'm going through trouble, I don't know what to do with her. And on one hand, my family wants me to divorce, but I don't want to. And I would listen to all of that. But at the end, I would ask, so do you love this person that you are with? And they would, let's say yes or no. Depending on that, I would ask, so what do you want to do? And they would say, I really want this relationship to work out. And I would say, yes. So you want your relationship to work out, but you are not able to. That's the problem. There are blocks in the way that is not letting you work out your relationship the way you want it to work out, isn't it? And they would say, yes, that's the problem. I said, that's simple. That's really simple. You want this relationship to work out. It's not working. There are blocks. Let's look at those blocks. There might be more than one blocks. There might be your own thoughts. There might be, your wife's decisions or voices, or her aspiration, and there is your family, right? So let's look into those blocks. Why don't we fix up a consultation session, and I just help you look at this problem from a very different perspective, and maybe after that you would want to sign up a few sessions with me, and over a period of time we will reach the solution. And they would ask, so what are you going to do in the consultation? I would say that, okay, in the consultation, you and I are going to talk, and I'm going to show you all the different ways by which there are blocks that exist in your current reality, current relationship reality, and you would have a very good understanding of that, of why this is happening. And they would say, yeah, that's an amazing idea. Let's do that. And then I would get into a consultation, and I would show them all the different ways by which the blocks are arising and showing up. And in the end, because I would show them the possibility and the solution in the end, that this is how we can get out of these blocks, they would say, okay, tell me, how many sessions would it take? I would say, I don't know how many sessions, but let's start with like 4, let's start with 6, and they would say, yeah, let's sign up then. And I would, of course, take the money beforehand. So that is how I help out people, which is, I would help out people, which is telling them their problem in a way that is simple for them to understand after listening to them properly. Then, of course, showing them that these are the ways by which we can solve it, that there is a process to it, and then in the end, showing them the result, showing them the solution that exists, right? And this is exactly what you need to do, whether you market on social media or whether you go and take a discovery call or a consultation call with someone, or whether you meet people in real life. You don't even have to market on social media. If you meet people in real life and you tell them what you do, who you are, what you do, and how you can help them, the next stage is always this, that people want their problems to be listened to. You can tell them what their problem is in a simple way, then you can show them how you can help them basically the process, and then show them the solution or the result or the possibility of a different life that they are not in right now. That's what is real marketing. It's not just randomly posting posts. That's what is real marketing. You have to cover these points, whether you do it through a post, do it through a live, do it through physical meeting, right? That's what is necessary. The last point that I wanted to tell you, which is not directly connected to your marketing, but actually it is connected to your marketing. It may not be happening in a very clean, clear way, but it's somewhere lurking in the background and determining your results, determining how many clients you are getting, determining how many people sign up with you, determining how many conversions you are getting, right? And that is working on your nervous system. And even before I go there, if you haven't seen my last masterclass with Suniti Barua, she happens to be an integrative psychotherapist, and I recently did a masterclass with her, and it was called How to Master a Self-Coaching Brain. And we talk a lot about nervous system safety, experiencing nervous system safety and regulation in that masterclass. If you go through my posts on Substack, you will be able to find that there is a replay to this masterclass. In fact, I think the last to last post of my Substack shows you that. Okay, so go there and watch the masterclass. Now, let me come to the point where I talk about nervous system regulation. So, because our nervous system is constantly trying to find out how people are thinking about us, how they might be judging us, how they might be wondering about us, the moment we put ourselves out there, the moment we become visible, that's what our brain tells us, because our brain's job is to scan for threat, because it just wants to keep us safe. So anything that feels unsafe, which also includes people's comments, their looks, the intonation of their voice, the way they write on our posts, the way they DM us, if that feels unsafe, sometimes we may just withdraw, or we may go into a fight mode, or we may go into a flight mode, or things might just feel overwhelming. So for someone to just write a post on Instagram or on Facebook might just feel very overwhelming. For someone to meet a group of people and in physical or real life and tell them the simple things like, I am a so-and-so coach, I'm a so-and-so healer, and this is how I can help you, may feel very threatening, right? Sometimes going on a live can really, really feel really, can just bring anxiety in the body. So it's so important to constantly work on the amount of capacity we have in our body and in our nervous system. And while I cannot actually explain to you through words or through vocabulary, how can we expand the capacity of our nervous system, simply because the regulation that we experience in our nervous system is an experience, and it has to be practiced over a period of time. Just today, someone inside ATIPS, early morning, she messaged me and said, Gaurav, can you explain me how do you deepen your nervous system and how you regulate your nervous system? Because, you handle so many people, and there are so many people on your, not only on your Instagram, but the fact that you have a Facebook group where there are more than 500 people. Inside ATIPS, there are so many people, and you are answering to everyone's queries and questions without actually shutting down, freezing out, numbing out. And I would say that's because of practice. Right from the very beginning, I would always take time for myself. I would take time away from social media. I would spend a lot of time also in practicing techniques like emotional freedom technique. I would journal a lot. I would meditate. I would actually end up spending a long, long bath. For me, bath is really, really relaxing. And I really love to scrub myself. And sometimes I put my feet in salt water, and I do every single thing that helps me connect to my body. I also practice a lot of thought and feeling work. Basically, I try to find out thoughts that are going to help me be in my being. For example, even before I go to a live or even before I write a post, I tell myself that there are people who are not going to resonate with it, but then there are people who are going to cheer me. There are people who are going to love seeing this post. There are people who are going to, immediately sign me up after reading it, right? So I use a lot of deliberate thinking while helping myself to expand my nervous system. But then I also should tell you this, that thinking is a cognitive faculty. Thinking does not actually help your nervous system. Thinking is happening from the prefrontal cortex, from the frontal part of your brain. It's more got to do with feeling. If I think everyone wants my offer, everyone wants to work with me, everyone loves my work, and inside I feel dread, then there is no alignment, there is no congruence between my feelings and my thoughts, right? So I will have to work on my feelings. And how I have achieved this is by doing a lot of trauma work on myself with other therapists, other healers, and other coaches. And I found out where are these feelings coming from. If there are feelings of dread, if there are feelings of rejection, if there is a lot of anger, if there is a lot of angst, then I also look at these as symptoms, and I journey through the symptoms into where they could be coming from. And of course, they land up in different places in life. Sometimes they come from your adolescence, your childhood. Sometimes they can come from your mom and dad. Sometimes even further up the line, which is grandpa, grandma, and which is what we basically call as intergenerational trauma, which is why in ATEPS, we not only work with thoughts and we not only work with business strategies, but the majority of our work that happens inside ATEPS is a lot of trauma work. I mean, I do work on business models. I do work on how to make offers, how to create better sales, how to sign up clients, how to do consultations. All of these things I do. But at a way deeper level, 90% of the work is helping people regulate their nervous system, finding immense capacity in their nervous system, and being able to constantly inhabit a state of safety, regardless of the external circumstances, regardless of whatever in the external world, external circumstances is happening. So I think that nervous system regulation and nervous system safety is one of the primary exercise, practice, and tool that one needs in order to market effectively about who they are, what they do, and how can they help people. Otherwise, there is always a possibility of going into a state of freeze, shock, overwhelm, or of course, anxiety, right? So if you, once again, if you haven't watched the masterclass yet, go and watch it, because I talk a lot about I and Sudhiti, both of us talk a lot about safety and safety as an experience and what happens inside the nervous system. You may also like to check out something called the polyvagal theory. Polyvagal theory was by Stephen Porges and Deb Dena. These two people found out this wonderful application-based method by which you can actually bring in regulation to your nervous system. If you just go to YouTube and type polyvagal theory, you'll find a lot of exercises there which will help you not only calm down your nervous system, but also generate a lot of capacity. Because at the end of the day, this is what my realization has been, that the amount of money that you make or the number of clients that you see or the kind of complex problems that you can solve not only in your client's life, but also in your business is heavily dependent on the amount of capacity you develop inside your nervous system. So the more your nervous system opens and is in the receiving state and expands, the more you will have capacity inside your body, inside your nervous system, to actually do things that otherwise might feel anxious or overwhelming. So these were the points I wanted to cover in the part 2 segment of what stops you from being a coach. I really, really hope you enjoy. I will soon come up with part 3. Till then, bye-bye and take care.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and are willing to change your business and money reality, head to my free coaching community on Facebook called You Are Money. Link is in the show notes. And do not forget to leave a review on Spotify.com or Apple Podcast. Thank you so much.